My name's Charles Snell. I'm an abstract fresco artist based in the Brecon Beacons near Abergavenny in Wales. My work focuses primarily on exploring internal landscapes and finding hidden narratives in plaster. The frescoes I create use an innovative one fresco technique and are usually large-scale murals or panels. In both forms, we're trying to connect the art to the architecture and to people. I trained in fine art, focusing on printmaking and drawing, and then went on to work in design communication as an art director and a designer. Well, I also worked with my family, renovating houses, and it was whilst doing this that I first started working with plaster, and I decided to explore the creative possibilities of plaster as a medium. A few years ago, I was looking up at the stars and I had the idea to create monumental works of art using pigmented plaster. So I went away and experimented, and this became our studio, Aster Muro. So I work pigmented plaster into setting plaster using a hawk and trowel and spatulas and even sometimes a spray machine. The plaster is setting from the moment I begin, so time is limited and I've got to make the most of it. Before we start a piece, Leanne and I do a lot of creative preparation in the studio. We search for colour feelings and for context, and we search for ideas and for a hidden narrative to reveal. It's kind of like rehearsing for a play. The performance is creating the piece and letting the story unfold. We want our work to be uplifting and to bring inspiration and beauty into people's everyday lives and into their spaces, and to help people connect to those spaces and to bring individual moments of truth. This collection is part of our new series called 24 Frescoes, 24 reflecting the number of hours in a day. With 24 frescoes, we're creating work on a more domestic scale, so more people will be able to share in what we do. When we create a mural, it's framed by the architecture around it, and it's like a window into an eternal landscape. The panels that we've created for 24 frescoes have the same idea in that they're a window into an eternal landscape, but they're a smaller window. So the pieces are created in a special colour palette, exploring a unique narrative. This first collection is called Terra Firma and is inspired by Spanish earth and heat and art and history. For inspiration, we looked at Catalonian art, old Seville pavement tiles, ancient rock formations and Altamira cave paintings, and we explored the history of conquistadors and cacao. In the colour palette there's cinnamon and burnt umber, cocoa, old paper, pale grey, archive paper, ice blue, sky blue, pistachio, and there's gold too. It's a colour palette rich in land and craft and history. The pieces are an exploration of the tension between seeking and exploring versus the idea of being grounded and centred. A dialogue which seems particularly relevant at the moment. There's also a sense of hope and positivity. I want to leave the opportunity for people to connect to the pieces and to look for their own answers. So colour's important and light, and I'm always looking to bring light into and through a piece. I think this has an almost spiritual quality that, combined with the attributes of plaster, brings the fresco to life. It's almost an intangible quality and something that is transcendental. The materiality and tactility of plaster is important too. I'm quite a searching person, and I hope that this is conveyed in my work. I'm inspired by nature and by the elements, and coming into my studio on the side of a Welsh mountain is a tremendous freedom, and it's an intense and a beautiful landscape. And I hope that some of this translates into each of the pieces and communicates something that is special and uplifting.